Natural hazards. Differentiating. Natural hazards here are not
Okay, so let me help you understand exactly what we do. So there are three segments, actually majorly four segments that we are trying to do. What we are trying to do is, one is we are moving from reactive approach. So disaster is not a rare phenomenon anymore. It's a regular environment. It's in the regular environment, disasters, right? So modern problems, as we say, modern problems, we need modern solutions, for which you cannot have a reactive approach to disaster anymore, right? So for which we are trying to look at a proactive, anticipatory approach, which we are trying to drive through AI, right? Where we are primarily looking at hyperlocal assessment at population scale, right? On which individuals are identified as to what risk
of the world's population. Natural hazards here are not isolated events. They follow recurrent patterns. It is a way of life, almost like the rhythm of festivals. Different regions experience climate risks in predictable cycles. High heat stress typically peaks between May and July. Flooding follows during the monsoon. Cyclones are more frequent between November and December. Cold waves affect the northern regions from January to March. These risks are known in advance. This makes anticipatory action more possible and necessary for a country of this scale. Disaster management must be designed to work across all districts, not only in selected locations. Traditional forecasting relies on broad averages or information that perhaps arrive too late to act enough. Artificial intelligence changes this. It enables earlier analysis, higher spatial resolution, and the ability to operate simultaneously across more than 800 districts. However, these systems do not function in isolation. They rely on collaboration with community partners on the ground to validate data and translate analysis into action. Effective anticipatory action depends on this combination: artificial intelligence informed by community intelligence.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I think it gives you some insight about what we exactly trying to do. So here we are working collaboratively with hyperlocal, communities to look at how can we rewire this, approach of anticipatory action at communities which are at risk. So through that, we are also trying to enable a socio-economic, analysis of households, because unique disasters affect uniquely to each household. So we are trying to basically look at how can it be driven through those microscopic changes that impacts a household, where probably it overshadows everything else, all biases, and looks at driving it at its pace, which we can't match probably, right? So for which we are taking help of AI to enable that functioning and that machine to put in that rigor to support us bring in efficiency, monitoring, and elevation, right? So as I mentioned, that there are three basic approaches that we are taking. The first is anticipation over reaction. Second is hyperlocal intelligence over area-based averages. Third is systems that governments can trust and scale. right? We have been working in, I think, about 18 states across India, where we have enabled AI not just as a technology, but to add to the workflows, the rigor to the workflows, bringing in efficiency and effectiveness. And we have been looking at risk, which has majorly misunderstood. Misunderstood at a level where there are certain biases which gets basically oversighted for during implementation, right? Second video, please.
There was a time we used to get cyclones, tropical cyclones, in every 10 years. Then it reduced down in every 5 years we got, then in 2 years, and likewise due to climate change impact, in every year we are getting 2-3 cyclones. हमको जो frequency of cyclone है बहुत ज़्यादा मिल रहा है, and so also intensity. So it really gives very less time for each family to prepare for that. ये सब जो घर देख रहे हैं ना, ये सारे अफेक्टेड है. आप देख सकते हैं कितना क्लोज प्रॉक्सिमिटी में है सी से, तो हर बार टाइड अंदर आ जाता है. इवन हम लोग जहाँ पे खड़े हैं वहाँ पे भी पानी नीचे के हिसाब से टाइड से आता रहता है. एंड एआई टूल्स के माध्यम से हम लोग इसको ज़्यादा जान पा रहे हैं. बहुत सारे इन्फॉर्मेशन पहुँच रहा है जो कि नहीं पहुँचता था पहले. प्री वार्निंग जो है 7 दिन से मिलना शुरू हो जाता है. बेस्ड ऑन दैट we develop advisory for the vulnerable people, the habitations which are at risk. इससे पहले हम लोगों ने ड्रोन सर्वे कराए थे. We identified some of the houses as you can see behind me. यहाँ पे around 10,000 families हैं. तो these are like thumbprints कि vulnerability कैसे है. लेकिन ये चेंज नहीं हुए and it will take time. जो रेस्पॉन्ड करने की जो क्षमता है वो बढ़ा है. That is something I would say that is a ray of hope.
Thank you. So we have been working on AI-supported post-disaster needs assessment, combining satellite imagery, drone data, and community reporting to estimate damage and need in near real time. What earlier took weeks or months can now be done in days or hours. This supports faster recovery and parametric triggers where support can be released based on verified impact thresholds. Third video, please.
இந்த பிள்ளைங்களை படிக்க வைக்க கூட எங்களுக்கு அந்த நேரத்தில் ஒரு நோட்டு வாங்க முடியாது, ஒரு புக்கு வாங்க முடியாது, எதுவுமே வாங்க முடியாது. எங்களுக்கு சாப்பிட கூட ஒன்றுமே எங்களுக்கு வழியே கிடையாது, காசே இருக்காது கையில்.
இந்த நேரங்கள்ல அவங்களுக்கு வந்து இமீடியட்டா ஒரு மணி இருந்ததுன்னா அவங்களுக்கு என்ன நீட் இருக்கோ அதை ஃபுல்ஃபில் பண்ண முடியும். இப்ப டேமேஜ் ஆன கொலாப்ஸ் ஆன வீடுகள்லாம் கவர்மெண்ட் வந்து ரீப்ளேஸ் பண்றாங்க. அதுக்கான காம்பன்சேஷன் வந்து இதுல இருந்து ஒரு அசஸ் பண்ணி அதை வந்து அவங்க அனுப்பி அதை வந்து அப்ரூவ் பண்ணி அது வந்து இட் டேக் சம் டைம். ஸோ இப்போ இந்த இன்சூரன்ஸ்ல என்ன நடக்கும்னு கேட்டீங்கன்னா இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு அசஸ்மெண்ட் நீட் இல்லை.
This solution was built by combining the coastal community wisdom with AI. Focus group discussions uncovered that the real damage begins below the proposed insurance trigger. So the threshold was adjusted from 75 to 65 kilometers per hour. The same consultations showed that women manage the home while men manage livelihoods. Thus, the policy was registered in women's names with full community support.
காம்போசிஷன் அமௌண்ட் ஆல்ரெடி நீங்க பாலிசியை ஆன்போர்டிங் பண்ணும்போதே உங்களுக்கு இதுதான் பே அவுட் அப்படின்னு அஷ்யூர்டு அந்த அளவு இம்பாக்ட்ஸ் இருக்கும்போது அல்லது அந்த இது வரும்போது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா பே அவுட் ஆயிரும். ஒரு வெரி டிரான்ஸ்பரன்சி டிரான்சாக்ஷன் ரொம்ப ஷார்ட் பீரியட்ல அந்த பே அவுட் வந்து ரிலீஸ் ஆயிடும்ன்றது வந்து இதோடைய நிறைய அட்வான்டேஜஸ்.
Thank you. Just to give you a brief about the last part of the video. So AI helped us enable a parametric insurance based on trigger matrix for a fisherman community in the district of Kadalur in Tamil Nadu, right, which we implemented last year, where we onboarded it was a pilot where we onboarded 2,500 families, looking at matrix of unique thresholds for each household, for that to be identified, recorded, monitored in the measurement of transformational journey for each households, in the journey of resilience, right? Seeds has worked on AI models, continuing temperature, humidity, housing conditions, work patterns, and healthy vulnerability to identify hyperlocal heat risk. This moves beyond city averages to identify which lanes, houses, and workers are most exposed, enabling targeted cooling spaces and schedule changes. Fourth video, please.
Slow disasters build gradually, usually without a defined moment of failure. In the Himalayas, a disaster is shaped long before the flood appears downstream. Risk builds quietly through melting glaciers, unstable slopes, disappearing springs, and changing rainfall. This is slow disaster stress. With AI-supported risk profiling, Seeds maps household level exposure, which homes sit below or on unstable terrain, which water sources are likely to fail. The AI assesses how families' struggles can originate from how climatic conditions interact with ecological, geological, and socioeconomic conditions. AI helps reveal these layered risks early, before flash floods, landslides, or glacial lake outburst flood strikes. This intelligence does not stay on screens. It is refined by the communities with local knowledge and experience applied to preparedness and early action. Disasters may appear sudden, but vulnerability is built over time. Across the country, sea levels are rising incrementally. Farms are getting salinated slowly. Desertification advances. The question now is not whether AI can help. It is how each community chooses to use it to prepare for what is coming next.
Thank you. We've been trying different models where we are tracking heat waves, cold waves, cyclones, floods, primarily urban floods, right? So this modeling has been only, I definitely want to extend this success not only to us, but to the partners that we've been working along with, to the community, the local wisdom that has been extended from the community, for which I would definitely want you all to reflect in the illustrious panel that we have today, absorb the knowledge that they are about to share. Over to Sahej. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arijit. A powerful framing of what's possible when technology is grounded in community needs and real-world scale. Thanks for showcasing the amazing work done by Seeds. Moving on to the panel discussion, we are building on it, and we now move on to our discussion finally. The topic for today is scaling a DRR, which is disaster risk reduction, AI ecosystem for India and the world. To guide this conversation forward, may I now invite Dr. Anshu Sharma to step in as we begin the panel segment. We are joined today by an amazing group of leaders across government, multilateral institutions, and the ecosystem of AI. We have V.K. Sharma, Vice Chairman of NDMA. We have Dr. Sujit Kumar Mohanty, Chief of Branch, UNDRR Geneva. We have Mr. Akshay Zadgaonkar, Director SavvyCode. And we have Mr. Anant Ranjan, Founder, Apurv AI. Thank you all for joining us today. We also have Kritika Sharma and Sumit Chand from Vayudev. I would like to request you to stand up for a picture first, and then we move on to the discussion.
Thank you, Sahaj, and thank you, Arijit. Thanks also to all the people behind the work that you just shared, both on the tech side as well as people on the ground. Sahaj has underscored the fact that today we are supposed to be talking about scaling of AI that we are conversing with, but I do also want to retain one term that Arijit had used, which is the Indian inclusive AI. How do we make AI and its application in our sector more inclusive, both from the design of the tech side, which is why we look forward to hearing from Akshay and Anand, but also inclusive in governance, inclusive in how we get people into it, and how inclusivity might help us scale better, probably even at a global scale. So with that, and as you know, we are short of time. This is a very exciting day. I had not imagined that we will have a room full of people wanting to get in, although we have half the room already full with standing people. Thank you so much, all of you, for being here. You're the ones who make this discussion more valuable. Yes, big round of applause to you. And I think what we'll do is let's break this into 2 or 3 very quick layers. We'll do a very quick round of first comments from our speakers, and then we'll try to open it into more of a conversational style. We will invite questions from the floor in whatever time we have. Talking of the tech, let me jump the sequence and actually come to Akshay, also because he's looking very smart with his red t-shirt right in the middle of the panel. Akshay, we spoke about tech. Also, in the last few days, we've been reading a lot as a run-up to this event, but also when the budget was presented, the Indian Economic Survey report was tabled, which talked extensively about AI. And what it did beautifully was it set apart the Indian approach to AI from the global race that we hear about, right? It said that we are not trying to be in the race of LLMs. We are not trying to compete with the Claudes and the Chat GPTs and the DeepSeeks. We are trying to build stuff that is foundational, that is frugal enough for us to run applications where they matter. That does not need hundreds of thousands of GPUs, but that can run on our laptops. You've been involved with some of the work that Arijit presented. Tell us what it means in terms of moving ahead from here. What are we building individually? What is your pulse of the Indian ecosystem? And what do you think as a nation we will be able to do and align with what Madam Nirmala Sitharaman tabled the other day? Sure.
Yeah. So I think, Anshu, sometimes, being late is better because we have basically not participated in the arms race of big language models, and that is a good thing. And we are at a point wherein, the way drones have changed the warfare, you had armored tanks dominate the battlefield, but drones have changed the game. They are economical, they are small. So in the same way, India has that advantage of context. We have a big demographic dividend with us, and to add with that, a very skilled development ecosystem. Remember the first IT revolution that happened in 90s. I think we are at the cusp of such revolution. And development and developers, since we have a lot of context of how exactly to build resilient systems. So edge AI, as we call it technically, edge AI is a space wherein there is a lot of opportunities and a lot of development that is needed. So when I say edge AI, it means computing at nodal level, that is your phone, or offline models rather than building large models. And we have a lot of people, a lot of domain experts in different fields here in India gathered today. So I think it will take collaboration of all the domain experts and the technical people to design small context specific models in order to go ahead. So all the disaster resilience that we have seen, right? We can build for that the ecosystem. I love the term pocket model. So those pocket models are the way to go in the future, and specifically for techies. So it's going to be a bit tough because it's not simply going to Chat GPT and saying build me a disaster assessment model. So it is going to involve statistics. It is going to involve core mathematical understanding, and how do you extract every ounce of computational power that you have from the device. I'm amazed. In 1980s there was a game called Mario. right? It is still very comprehensive. How do you fit Mario in 96 kilobytes? So that is how we developers should now focus on building those pocket models.
Thanks, Akshay. Edge AI and pocket models. That's a nice takeaway from this. As we move, although Sahej had very briefly introduced our panel, I'll keep adding a few nuggets, despite being short on time. So I must share with you that Akshay, and let me not spare him his blushes, in his younger days, in his school days, was the world's youngest Microsoft certified coder. And for that he was invited to Redmond. He's worked there, and yet he came back because his father in Nagpur told him कि वापस आओ पढ़ाई पूरी करो, and he's been doing that forever, and he's done his PhD on AI and geriatric care of old people. So when we talk of AI that is inclusive, I can't think of any other friend than Akshay to turn to. Thanks, Akshay. We'll come back to pocket models. And how do pocket models still continue to be truly inclusive? So Anand, I turn to you. You worked on this theme a lot, and I think one of the biggest issues that we face whenever we are doing assessments or we are doing recovery planning is averages. You know, the average, which is what is used in policy, which is used in programming, always leaves behind people who are probably the most needy. The UNDRR also runs a campaign, leave no one behind. It's easier said than done. So when we come to AI, and statistically it will be very attractive to run models that consolidate, your work has been around making sure that no one gets left behind. How do we hear the smallest and the faintest voices? Tell us something about how you run it and what kind of a feed you're getting from the sector.
Sure. I think starting with the last point you made is Gaussian versus long tail. When you look at top-down interventions, they're usually Gaussian, right? The bell curves, and they serve an important purpose for sure. But it is always indexed on the mean or median of the population. Okay. So let me just take a step back. How many of you come from some AI background? Okay, that's good. You'll have to take back your word. And how many from climate by any chance? Amazing. I think this is beautiful, right? So I think they would absolutely understand what I'm saying. So we have to look at long tail or C curves, and so why this becomes important is when you look at C curves as a distribution, you have so much of diversity on the long tail, and you just cannot compress everything and put it as an average, right? So that's a fundamental construct which I wanted to start with. But what we have been grappling with, which I think is very important, is what you call as complex systems, right? Complex systems are really what we are today facing as societal challenges. If you take the issue of climate change, it intersects with health, it intersects with livelihood, education, all of this, right? And in this, I think the most important question to ask is what has changed? And where do you measure change? And when we say change, I think like Anshu said, change at the ground, which is really what matters. And if you have the ability to first understand change, and is that change sustainable in a positive way, and can you design for it with greater speed and scale, and that's kind of the starting point. And to do this, the governance, the architecture should cater to what we should not be doing, which is the last mile approach. Not look at communities as a beneficiary of technology or services, but look at communities as co-creators of solutions, right? I think this is really where we differ from the models of the West, where it is built in a central digital warehouse and shipped to the world, right? We are saying that we have to build local models which are powered by the voices of the people, and from the voices, how do you unlock value, right? And most importantly, how do you ensure that this value is not hoarded centrally by anybody, but it is offered back to the community? So can this be truly community-centric models where the agency and the decision of what I do with this infrastructure is truly with the communities?
We hear and we read a lot about GPU and compute power, and Akshay is talking about pocket models. Is it going to work? Because you talk, if we do what you're saying, then the volume is huge. We are actually going down, we are co-creating, and that's not just about the layer at which you work, but also about the dynamics of every group, every individual giving a feed. How do these fit?
No, I think, so there are, you can do this at different levels. I think AI itself has, like you said, you have these slim models, which have kind of been incorporated through what you call as transfer learnings. But if you can design this as a truly federated system, a distributed system, with certain standards, so going back to your governance side, right? So if you really look at it as a taxonomy, which you offer, and power it through the ontology of the ecosystem, the networks and the interactions, and the epistemology of the communities, right? So that kind of creates the true architecture for building some of this.
Okay. Broadly, we get what you're saying, but we'll come back for some more nuts and bolts. Let me move third to our panelist Snehal. Snehal has been creating stuff at Nature Dots and also exporting it and deploying applications that are around nature-based solutions that are around water and natural resources in a way that can benefit this conversation, hugely. So Snehal, what are your thoughts on turning these ideas into true applications? Because you take them to the ground. What's working and what's a challenge for you?
Yeah, okay, thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm Snehal. I am one of the co-founder of Nature Dots. So just to rephrase about what we do, we're an AI company building foundational models. And I would just like to spend like maybe 20 seconds on what foundational models are. Foundational models largely are, everybody knows LLM. So LLM is a foundational model on which ChatGPT is made. So you have foundational model and then you have wrappers. In this context, especially when it, from our experience and the time that we have spent working in natural ecosystems and then linking disaster, I think foundational models are the way to go. But then at the same time, we have to really define what does localization means here. Now, foundational models are active across the globe. So whatever's been developed for India, say even for New Delhi, should be applicable with some small level of customization in New York. And that's what gives them scalability.
AI mission, Ministry of Electronics, Information Technology, and Government of India, on incepting and in bringing together an ecosystem of players to write the inclusive AI playbook for India. Inclusiveness at its core makes it a powerful force for combining diverse strength and maximizing positive outcomes. As I mentioned, everyone wants a slice of it, but very few are asking for whom and for what. At Seeds, we stepped into AI long before it became fashionable, long before anyone thought about embedding public voices and vocabulary. We went ahead not because it was trending, but because the climate crisis demanded it. We were not sure, to be very honest, we were not sure. We started with asking some uncomfortable questions to ourselves. Can AI identify which household, which family will fail first before the next cyclone? Can AI help invest 1 rupee today to prevent 10 rupees of loss tomorrow? Can AI predict the next climate migration for a district? At Seeds, today we stand saying yes, AI can transform this. Why? We have moved from AI just giving confined dashboards and data labs. We are trying to design it inclusively, which becomes the greatest equalizer in disaster risk reduction. Moving on this path, we are about to showcase a few examples of what we are co-creating and the community at the center. For us, AI is not about automation, it is about augmentation of human resilience. We will bring up certain snapshots of what we have been doing and how AI has transformed the impact in those field and areas of distress which the community faces in different topography in the Indian context. Can I have the first video, please? Should I play it from here? Sorry guys, your first video. Thank you. Can I please from there?
Natural hazards here are not
So let me help you understand exactly what
So there are three segments, actually majorly four segments that we are trying to do. What we are trying to do is, one is we are moving from reactive approach. So disaster is not a rare phenomenon anymore. It's a regular environment. It's in the regular environment, disasters, right? So modern problems, as we say, modern problems, we need modern solutions, for which you cannot have a reactive approach to disaster anymore, right? So for which we are trying to look at a proactive, anticipatory approach, which we are trying to drive through AI, right? Where we are primarily looking at hyperlocal assessment at population scale, right? On which individuals are identified as to what risk of the
Natural hazards here are not isolated events. They follow recurrent patterns. It is a way of life, almost like the rhythm of festivals.